Have you ever walked into a room and noticed a woman who wasn't the youngest, wasn't wearing the most makeup, wasn't dressed in the most expensive clothes, but something about her made you unable to look away? She had a glow, a warmth, a presence, and you thought to yourself, what is it about her? That question has been on my mind for years. And today, I finally want to give you the answer. Here's something I believe deeply. We live in a world that constantly tells women that their beauty is something they need to buy, something they need to apply, something they need to chase, fix, correct, and cover up. And if you've been a woman in this world for 30, 40, 50 years, you've probably received this message 10,000 times. From magazines, from commercials, from well-meaning family members, from social media, from the mirror itself. You've been told that beauty fades. That time is your enemy. That youth is the standard, and everything after that is just damage control. But here's what I know to be true. The most magnetic women I've ever met were not the youngest. They were not the ones with perfect skin or flawless makeup. They were the ones who had done the inner work. They were the ones who had cultivated something deeper, something that no cream, no procedure, no filter could ever replicate. They had energy. They had presence. They had what I like to call an aura. And that aura, it didn't come from their makeup bag. It came from their habits, their daily choices, the way they treated themselves when no one was watching. This matters because your beauty is not running out. Your beauty is not on a timer. Your beauty is not determined by your age, your weight, your wrinkles, or your circumstances. Your beauty is determined by your energy, and your energy is something you can cultivate, starting today. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 habits. 5 specific, practical habits that women with radiant energy practice in their daily lives. These are not complicated rituals. They don't require money or special products. They require intention. They require awareness. They require a decision to show up for yourself differently. And by the end of this video, you will walk away with a clear understanding of how to build the kind of beauty that doesn't wash off at night. The kind of beauty that only grows stronger with time. The kind of beauty that makes people lean in when you speak, remember you when you leave, and feel better simply because they were in your presence. Let's begin. Let me start with the most important habit, because without this one, everything else falls apart. Women whose beauty comes from their energy have learned to protect their inner peace. Not casually, not when it's convenient. They protect it like it's the most precious thing they own, because it is. Now, why does this matter so much? Think about it. When you're anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, or constantly worried, where does it show up? In your face, in your posture, in the tension in your shoulders, in the tightness of your jaw, in the way you breathe, in the way you move through the world. Stress ages you faster than time ever could. Worry creates lines that no cream can erase. Chaos in your mind creates chaos in your energy, and people feel it. They may not know why, but when they're around someone who is constantly frazzled, constantly reacting, constantly in survival mode, they feel drained. But when they're around a woman who is calm, grounded, and centered, they feel safe. They feel drawn in. They feel like they want to stay. That calm is not an accident. It's a choice. It's a habit. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 women. Both are 40, 5 years old. Both have children, jobs, responsibilities, and challenges. Because life doesn't stop being hard just because you've done some inner work. The first woman wakes up and immediately grabs her phone. She scrolls through messages, news, social media. She sees something that upsets her. She starts her day reactive. Then her child spills something. She snaps. Then traffic makes her late. She's fuming. By the time she gets to work, she's already exhausted. And she hasn't even started her day yet. The second woman wakes up and gives herself 15 minutes. Just 15. She doesn't check her phone. She breathes. She sets an intention. Maybe she writes 3 things she's grateful for. Maybe she stretches. Maybe she just sits with her cup of tea and looks out the window. When her child spills something, she sighs, but she doesn't lose herself. When traffic slows her down, she uses that time to listen to something that nourishes her mind. Same life, same responsibilities, completely different energy. And here's what I want you to understand. The second woman isn't calm because her life is easier. She's calm because she has made her inner peace a priority. She has drawn a boundary around her mornings. She has decided that how she starts her day matters. She has built a habit of protecting her mental and emotional space. And over time, that habit shows up in her face, in her presence, in the way people describe her. They say, there's just something about her. She's so peaceful. That something is not magic, it's a habit. So what can you do? First, identify your peace stealers. What are the things, people, situations, or habits that consistently disturb your calm? Maybe it's checking your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe it's engaging in arguments that never go anywhere. Maybe it's saying yes when you mean no. Maybe it's spending time with people who leave you drained. Once you identify them, start making small changes. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Start with one thing. Protect one pocket of your day. Maybe it's the first 20 minutes of your morning. Maybe it's your lunch break. Maybe it's the hour before bed. Create a space in your day where peace is the priority. No news, no drama, no noise. Just you reconnecting with yourself. Second, learn to pause before you react. This is one of the most powerful things a woman can learn. When something happens that would normally send you into a spiral, pause. Take one breath. Then decide how you want to respond. Reaction is unconscious. Response is a choice. And women who radiate calm energy have mastered the art of responding instead of reacting. Third, give yourself permission to walk away from chaos. You are not obligated to engage with every argument. You are not required to solve every problem. You are not responsible for other people's emotions, choices, or behavior. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply say, I'm not going to engage with this. Your peace is your power. Protect it. Let's talk about the body. Because if we're going to talk about energy and beauty, we have to talk about how we treat the vessel that carries us through life. Here's what I've noticed about women whose beauty radiates from within. They have a different relationship with their body than most women are taught to have. They don't punish their body. They don't starve it, exhaust it, criticize it, or fight against it. They nourish it. They move it with joy. They rest it when it's tired. They speak to it with kindness. Why does this matter so deeply? Because your relationship with your body is reflected in your energy. If you're constantly at war with yourself, if you look in the mirror and see an enemy, if you deprive yourself and then feel guilty, if you exercise out of shame rather than love, that internal battle shows up in your presence. You can feel it when someone hates their body. There's a tightness, a heaviness, a constant apologizing for taking up space. But when a woman has made peace with her body, when she moves through the world with acceptance, and even appreciation for the body that has carried her, protected her, healed her, that peace is visible. That acceptance is magnetic. And here's something important. This has nothing to do with size, nothing to do with shape, nothing to do with age. I've seen women in their 60s who radiate more vitality than women in their 20s. I've seen women of all sizes who move with grace and confidence. I've seen women with scars, with wrinkles, with gray hair, who glow in a way that stops you in your tracks. The difference is not their body. It's their relationship with their body. Let me give you a picture of this. Think of a woman who has decided to start taking care of herself, not because she hates herself and wants to change, but because she loves herself and wants to feel good. She goes for a walk in the morning, not because she's punishing herself for what she ate yesterday, but because moving her body makes her feel alive. She feels the sun on her face. She breathes deeply. She notices the world around her. When she eats, she chooses foods that make her feel energized. Not because she's on a diet, but because she's learned to listen to her body. She knows that certain foods make her feel sluggish, and other foods make her feel vibrant. So she chooses vitality. When she looks in the mirror, she doesn't search for flaws. She looks at herself the way she would look at a dear friend. She notices the light in her eyes. She appreciates the strength in her shoulders. She thanks her body for carrying her through another day. This is not about perfection. It's about relationship. It's about treating your body like a home you love, not a prison you're trying to escape. So what can you do? First, shift your language. The way you speak about your body matters more than you realize. If you constantly call yourself fat, ugly, old, or broken, your body hears that. Your subconscious hears that. And it affects how you carry yourself, how you move, how you feel. Start speaking to yourself the way you would speak to your daughter, your best friend, or a child you love, with kindness, with encouragement, with grace. When you look in the mirror, find one thing you appreciate, not something you tolerate, something you genuinely appreciate. Your eyes, your smile, your hands that have done so much work. Start there. Second, move your body for joy, not punishment. Find a way of moving that you actually enjoy. It doesn't have to be the gym. It can be dancing in your kitchen, walking in nature, swimming, yoga, stretching while you watch your favorite show. The goal is to reconnect with your body, not to punish it into submission. When you move from a place of joy, your energy shifts. You start to feel more alive, more present, more at home in your own skin. And that aliveness, it shows up in your face, in your posture, in your presence. Third, rest without guilt. Women are often taught that rest is laziness, that we should always be doing, producing, serving. But rest is not laziness. Rest is restoration. When you're exhausted, your energy is dim. When you're depleted, you have nothing left to give. When you're running on empty, it shows in your face, your patience, your presence. Give yourself permission to rest. Take the nap. Go to bed early. Sit in stillness without feeling like you should be doing something else. A well-rested woman glows differently than a burned-out woman. That glow is not makeup. It's energy. And you build it by honoring your body's need for rest. Here's something that might surprise you. One of the most powerful things that affects a woman's energy is not how she looks, what she wears, or even how she carries herself. It's how she speaks. The words you choose, the tone you use, the things you say about yourself and others, they create your energy more than almost anything else. Women whose beauty comes from their energy have learned to speak with intention and grace. They don't waste words. They don't speak carelessly. They don't tear others down to build themselves up. And they never, ever speak about themselves with contempt. Why does this matter? Because words carry energy. When you gossip, when you complain, when you criticize, when you speak harshly about yourself, you're not just making sounds. You're creating an atmosphere. You're shaping how people feel around you. You're also shaping how you feel about yourself. Have you ever been around someone who constantly complains? Someone who always has something negative to say? Someone who gossips about everyone who isn't in the room? How did it feel to be around them? Heavy, right? Draining. Exhausting. You probably walked away feeling worse than when you arrived. Now think about someone who speaks kindly. Someone who has something encouraging to say. Someone who listens more than they talk. Someone who chooses their words carefully. How did it feel to be around them? Light. Uplifting. Refreshing. You probably walked away feeling better than when you arrived. That's the power of words. That's the power of how you speak. And here's something even more important. The way you speak about yourself shapes your entire energy. If you're constantly saying, "I'm so old, I'm so tired. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'll never find love. I always mess things up," you are programming your own energy with those words. You are creating an aura of defeat, insecurity, and self-rejection, and people feel it. But when you speak about yourself with respect and hope, even when things are hard, you create a different energy entirely, an energy of quiet confidence, an energy of self-worth, an energy that says, "I know who I am, and I'm okay with her." Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a woman at a dinner party. Someone asks her about her life, her work, her relationships. The first version of this woman sighs and says, "Oh, things are hard. I'm getting older. Nothing is going the way I planned. I'm just trying to survive, honestly." The second version of this woman smiles and says, "Life has had its challenges, but I'm learning so much about myself. I'm in a season of growth, and I'm grateful for it." Same life, same circumstances, completely different energy. The first woman will be forgotten by the end of the night. The second woman will be remembered, not because she's pretending things are perfect, but because she has chosen to frame her life with dignity and hope. And that choice creates a magnetic presence. So what can you do? First, become aware of how you speak about yourself. For 1 week, pay attention to the words you use when you describe yourself, your life, your body, your abilities, your future. Are they words of hope or words of defeat? Are they words of respect or words of contempt? You don't have to lie. You don't have to pretend things are perfect. But you can choose to speak about your challenges with dignity instead of despair. Instead of saying, "I'm so old and falling apart," you could say, "Oh, my body has carried me through so much, and I'm learning to take care of it." Instead of saying, "I'll never find love," you could say, "I'm becoming the kind of woman who attracts the right partner." This is not delusion. This is intention. You are choosing to speak life into yourself instead of death. Second, reduce gossip and complaint. I know this is hard. Gossip and complaint feel natural. They feel like connection, they feel like bonding, but they're not. They're actually draining your energy and lowering your vibration. When you gossip about others, you create an atmosphere of distrust. People wonder, if she talks about her this way, what does she say about me? When you complain constantly, you train your mind to see only problems. You become a magnet for more things to complain about. Start paying attention to how much of your conversation is spent on negativity. Then, slowly, intentionally, start shifting toward gratitude, solutions, and encouragement. This doesn't mean you can't share your struggles. It means you share them with intention, seeking support and solutions, not just venting into the void. Third, pause before you speak. Women with graceful energy don't say everything that comes to mind. They've learned the power of the pause. Before they respond, before they react, before they add their opinion, they ask themselves, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this helpful? Not every thought needs to become words. Not every feeling needs to become a statement. Sometimes silence is more powerful than speech. And when you do speak, your words will carry more weight. People will lean in because they know that when you open your mouth, something meaningful is about to come out. Now we come to one of the most important habits, and perhaps the one that takes the longest to build. Women whose beauty comes from their energy have learned to genuinely love and accept themselves. Not in a shallow, I'm just going to say affirmations way, but in a deep, honest, soul-level way. They have made peace with who they are. They have forgiven themselves for their past mistakes. They have stopped waiting to be perfect before they allow themselves to be happy. And that inner acceptance, it radiates outward in a way that no makeup, no outfit, no external validation ever could. Why does this matter so deeply? Because you cannot fake self-love. People feel it. They feel when someone is at peace with themselves, and they feel when someone is at war with themselves. Think about this. When a woman is constantly seeking approval, constantly looking for validation, constantly trying to prove herself, there's a desperation in her energy. It's exhausting to be around because you feel like you're always being asked to fill a void that you can never fill. But when a woman has filled that void herself, when she has done the work to accept herself, forgive herself, and genuinely like who she is, she walks into a room differently. She doesn't need anything from anyone. She's not seeking, she's simply being. And that simply being is one of the most attractive energies in the world. Let me tell you about a kind of woman I've seen many times. She's in her 40s or 50s. She's been through things. Divorce, loss, disappointment. Her life didn't turn out the way she planned. There are parts of her story she wishes were different. But somewhere along the way, she made a decision. She decided to stop punishing herself for the past. She decided to stop waiting for circumstances to change before she could be happy. She decided to look in the mirror and say, this is who I am. This is where I've been. And I'm okay with her. That decision changed everything. She stopped apologizing for existing. She stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. She stopped performing for approval. And something beautiful happened. The more she accepted herself, the more others were drawn to her. Not because she was perfect, because she was at peace. And peace is magnetic. So how do you build genuine self-love and acceptance? First, acknowledge that this is a process. You're not going to love yourself overnight, especially if you've spent decades criticizing yourself. But you can start. You can take small steps every day. And every small step matters. Every time you choose kindness toward yourself instead of criticism, you're building something. Every time you forgive yourself instead of punishing yourself, you're creating new patterns. Every time you look in the mirror and choose acceptance instead of rejection, you're rewiring your brain. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Second, do the work of healing. Self-love is not just about positive thinking. Sometimes it requires going back and healing old wounds. Sometimes it requires forgiving people who hurt you, not for their sake, but for yours. Sometimes it requires grieving the life you thought you'd have so you can embrace the life you actually have. This might mean journaling. It might mean therapy. It might mean having honest conversations. It might mean sitting with uncomfortable feelings instead of numbing them. But this work is the foundation of genuine self-love. You cannot love yourself while carrying the weight of unhealed pain. You have to let some things go to make room for something new. Third, practice treating yourself well. Self-love is not just a feeling. It's an action. It's how you treat yourself. Do you keep promises to yourself, or do you constantly break them? Do you prioritize your needs, or do you always put yourself last? Do you rest when you're tired, or do you push through until you collapse? Do you set boundaries, or do you let people walk all over you? The way you treat yourself teaches you how to feel about yourself. If you treat yourself with respect, you'll start to feel worthy of respect. If you treat yourself with kindness, you'll start to feel worthy of kindness. Start small. Keep one promise to yourself today. Do one kind thing for yourself, not because you earned it, but because you deserve it simply by existing. And fourth, stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of self-love. When you're constantly measuring yourself against other women, you will always find yourself lacking. There will always be someone younger, thinner, richer, more successful, more admired. But here's what I want you to understand. You are not in competition with any other woman on this planet. Your journey is your own. Your gifts are your own. Your beauty is your own. The woman you're comparing yourself to is also fighting battles you know nothing about. She also has insecurities. She also has struggles. She's not the standard you need to meet. She's just another human being doing her best. Focus on your own growth. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. That's the only comparison that matters. The final habit is perhaps the most powerful of all. Women whose beauty comes from their energy have learned to live in alignment with their values. They know who they are. They know what they stand for, and their daily choices reflect those beliefs. This alignment creates something rare and beautiful. It creates integrity, and integrity creates an energy that people can feel but often can't explain. Why does this matter so much? Because when you live out of alignment, there's a constant friction inside you. You say one thing but do another. You believe something but act differently. You want a certain life but make choices that lead you away from it. That friction creates stress, guilt, and confusion. It dims your light. It weakens your energy. It makes you feel scattered, unsure, and unstable. But when you live in alignment, when your actions match your beliefs, when your daily choices reflect your deepest values, there's a harmony inside you, a wholeness, a quiet power that needs no explanation. You walk with certainty because you know who you are. You speak with conviction because you're not pretending. You radiate something authentic because there's nothing to hide, nothing to prove, nothing to perform. Let me describe this for you. Think of a woman who values honesty. She doesn't tell lies, even small ones. She doesn't pretend to be someone she's not. She doesn't agree with things she disagrees with just to fit in. She speaks her truth with kindness, but she speaks it. Or think of a woman who values her health. She doesn't just say health is important. She actually prioritizes it. She makes time to move her body. She chooses nourishing foods. She protects her sleep. Her actions match her words. Or think of a woman who values love and connection. She doesn't just want a good relationship. She actually works on herself to be a good partner. She communicates. She forgives. She shows up. She invests in the relationships that matter to her. These women have something in common. They're not just dreaming about the life they want. They're living in a way that creates it. They're aligning their actions with their values, one choice at a time. And that alignment, it shows up in their energy. People trust them because they're consistent. People respect them because they mean what they say. People are drawn to them because there's something solid, something real, something grounded about their presence. So how do you build this habit? First, get clear on your values. This sounds simple, but many women have never actually sat down and defined what they truly value. Not what they're supposed to value. Not what their family values. Not what society says they should value, but what they personally, deep in their heart, believe matters most. Is it honesty? Kindness, faith, family, health, growth, love, freedom, service. Take some time to identify your top 5 values. Write them down, look at them, let them guide you. Second, audit your life. Once you know your values, look at how you're actually living. Are your daily choices aligned with what you say matters most?